All right, time to take your pick on whose best is yet to come this season, because we've talked a lot about great play in 2022, but we haven't seen excellent play from some of those players you'd expect to see dominated early in the season. Who's your pick to have a great season kind of this point going forward?
I don't know if it'll be a great season, but it should be a better season, at least. It's got to be Dustin Johnson to me. He's only made 3 starts this season. One of them was the CJ Cup last October in Vegas that Rory McIlroy won, and he was tied 45th that week. He showed up at the Farmers at Torrey Pines and tied for 35th, and then missed the cut recently Riviera, which is a course that he has historically played very well on. And if you look back at the last 7 seasons of Dustin Johnson, he's compiled 69 top 10 finishes. He's basically running at the pace of 10 a year. We're already a third of the way through this PGA Tour season, and he's got 0. And his game just looks kind of out of sorts, inattentive. I think his best, certainly for this season, has got to be ahead of him.
Especially with what we saw when you think about the end of 2021, when we were kind of waiting for Dustin Johnson to get back to that play we saw at the end of 2020. It felt like it kind of come around the Ryder Cup. The celebrations following were obviously fun to watch, but the play from Dustin Johnson that week was a reminder of what we can see from Dustin Johnson when he's locked in. I mean, he was unbeatable that week.
Yeah, he won the Masters by 5 and shot 20 under par. And I guess, the course was soft. It was in the fall. But he still shot 20 under par.
Nobody else did.
Beat the best in the world by 5. And since then, it's been nothing. He won in Saudi Arabia at the start of 2021. But since then, there's really been nothing. He hasn't really contended at any point since that Masters as well. He's logged a few top 10 finishes here and there last summer. But in terms of being in the mix where you expect Dustin Johnson to be, he's been absent without leave.
I have someone that did not have a bad 2021 as someone whose best is yet to come here in 2022, and that's Nelly Korda. I mean, Nelly Korda, we haven't seen the best of Nelly to this point yet. She hasn't won in 2022 after winning 5 times last season, including a major championship, including the Olympics in Tokyo. So, I mean, just going through the numbers and thumbing through some of the players that you're expecting stuff from this year, her game is too good not to contend. There's a lot of comps to Dustin Johnson's game, in my opinion, with Nelly Korda. She's so dominant throughout the bag that she's able to go out there and win, and she will win because the game is so good and it's so complete and she can hit the ball so far. So the best is yet to come for Nelly Korda, just because we've only seen her play 3 times in 2022, and I expect multiple victories again from Nelly in 2022. And I don't think it's going to be 5 wins necessarily, but I definitely think it's going to be a couple, and I'd be surprised if she doesn't win a major this year.
And it's a sign of how much expectation we heap on Nelly Korda that the LPGA Tour just started its season in January. They don't have the wraparound luxury of the PGA Tour. And I would expect a lot out of Nelly this year as well, because Nelly has what no one else in golf has, including the PGA Tour, is a rivalry to drive her on.
Exactly.
The rivalry with Jin Young Ko we saw really heat up last year. They combined for 9 wins between them. They kind of went at each other in several of those tournaments. And you could tell that there's that certain edge to that rivalry that really started to crank up at the end of the year. And I just can't wait to see the next episode of it.
A little bit of what I talked with Hideki, and we were chatting about Hideki, is, when you're good is good, what are you winning by in terms of margin? And when you're going to be a generational type of player like we believe Nelly Korda will be, it's a lot about following up those great years, because you can rest on a great season and you can maybe take a step back if that's what you want to do. I don't see that from Nelly Korda. I feel like she's the type of player that's only trying to improve maybe the parts of her game she didn't love last year. And if she does improve certain things, maybe in and around the greens, I mean, you're talking about scary, scary stuff from Nelly Korda. But I love what you brought up about a rivalry. I mean, that's something that we've been asking for a lot on the men's side of professional golf. We thought we were going to get it with Rory and Jordan. It hasn't quite been what we thought we might get with those 2 players, but we have it on the LPGA Tour, and I think a lot of people are excited to see where it goes this season.
And her rivalry just isn't with Jin Young Ko. I mean, she's got a rivalry in her own family.
Yes.
Can you imagine what the athletic competitiveness like at the breakfast table?
I don't want to play table tennis at that house. I think it'd be a bit scary to jump into that game.
That's really got to drive her along as well with her brother and her sister, not to mention her parents.